architecture again, and we had a recall of how architecture has. And after that, we have seen what do you mean by fundamental unit? Can anybody let the different fundamental units computer? Anyone? Yes, what do you mean by fundamental unit? Which are the units of computer which can be called as fundamental units or basic units, or what we can say fundamental components of a computer?
Sir, input, memory, ALU, output, and controlling.
All right, we have seen there are basically three major units which are called as input unit, output unit, and the CPU. Right? CPU is
Yes.
made of CPU is made of
memory process.
CPU is made up of which components?
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Okay, might be a range issue. It will be clear. It will be clear. Which are the three major components of CPU?
Memory unit, storage unit, and arithmetic and logical unit.
Okay, memory unit and storage unit are the same. Arithmetic and logic unit is another thing. Remaining one is
Controlling.
control unit. Control unit is one of the important units we cannot forget about. Okay, so that is the diagram you can see over the slide, and you can see that it is made up of major components. So I can list out the major components in this way, that is input unit, output unit, and CPU, whereas CPU is made up of memory unit, control unit, and arithmetic unit, right? So these are the three major components inside CPU. So we have seen that input unit is able to provide me input information that is need to be processed or worked on with, right? So I'm working on particular data which I receive from input unit itself, right? So using that, I am processing a data in CPU, and whatever the results I get, I am providing that to output unit. So in this way, I am going processing the data, or computer is processing the data, right? And what is the task of CPU? CPU is providing some arithmetic and logic calculations or executions of arithmetic and logical equations inside it, or processing inside it, and that is done by ALU. And whatever the data required for processing those things, that is accessed from memory unit, right? So whenever I need a data, I'm getting that data from particular input unit to first memory unit, then I'm accessing using that memory unit, right? So in this way, I'm processing the data, right? So memory unit consists of how many types?
Two types.
Two types. Which are those?
Primary and secondary.
Primary and secondary memory, also called as ROM and
RAM.
RAM. So ROM is responsible for storing permanent data, whereas RAM is storing data for a particular time. Remember that in RAM, if the power supply is cut off from that RAM, the data will be erased. Okay. If I'm cutting the power supply from the RAM, the data will be erased. It is temporary in nature. Whereas in ROM, I will be able to store data for longer time or for permanent time. Okay. there are multiple categories of ROM. We will see in upcoming chapters when we go for memory unit specially. Okay, so these are the two basic memory storage systems where I'm storing the data in the primary memory, which is frequently needed, whereas I'm storing the data which is rarely needed or for a particular time it is needed, I'm storing using RAM. Okay, we have also taken an example of it. When I'm considering RAM, I'm talking about temporary data, means I'm talking about where I'm listening a song from the internet, I'm downloading that song onto the RAM, and then it has been played out to me, right? So if I'm downloading some file or accessing file from my laptop, for example, we have taken a C program also. If I'm executing a C program from my system, first that program is loaded onto the RAM. Okay, basically you do that process while opening a file. Whenever you open some file, that is first shifted to RAM and it is accessed from there, because CPU is very fast and it requires a fast memory access. So other than other memory components like hard disk, your pen drive, your CD drive, or what we can say any other media whichever you use, if you access that, that is slow as compared to your computer or central processing unit. Okay, there is thousands of difference. So if the devices are very slow, the system has to wait for a particular time. तुमचा सीपीयू काय करेल, रिलॅक्स मध्ये राहील, तो थांबणार तिथंच, तो काही नाही करणार, कारण तो रीड करण्यासाठी भरपूर टाइम कन्झ्युम. सो दॅट इज ऍक्च्युली लेस परफॉर्मिंग इश्यू, म्हणजे परफॉर्मन्स फॅक्टर रिड्यूस होतो तिथं. In order to increase the performance factor, we need to provide a faster memory. So we provide RAM to it. So RAM is quite faster than 10 times faster than your other devices, which provides access to. Okay, another memory category which I yesterday didn't mention to you is called as cache memory. Cache memory is nothing but a memory used in between processor and the RAM. Okay, now cache memory is more faster than RAM. ऍक्च्युली काय होतंय, आपण आपल्या स्टोरेज सिस्टीम आणि सीपीयू मध्ये रॅम प्रोव्हाइड करून पण सीपीयू फास्ट आहे अजून as compared to RAM. Again, we are losing some time in processing. So in order to reduce that, we are introducing cache memory. Whereas cache memory is such kind of memory which is 10 times faster than RAM and it provides quick data to CPU. So basically nowadays your cache memory is stored on your CPU. तुम्ही एखादा जर प्रोसेसरचे स्पेसिफिकेशन रीड केला, त्याच्यावरती असतो 2 MB cache memory, 4 MB cache memory. Okay, there are levels also, level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay, so level 1 is faster than level 3. In this manner, those memories are allocated. ओके, जेवढे तुम्ही लेवल्स वाढवताय तेवढं तुमचा प्रोसेसरचा कॉस्ट वाढतो. जेवढा तुम्ही कॅश मेमरी प्रोव्हाइड करताय तेवढं तुमचा प्रोसेसरचा कॉस्ट वाढतो, बिकॉज युअर कॅश मेमरी इज हॅव्हिंग फास्ट काइंड ऑफ ॲक्सेसिंग मेथड्स अँड इट इज व्हेरी कॉस्टली टू इम्प्लिमेंट. ते छोटं असल्यामुळं आणि कॉम्प्लेक्स स्ट्रक्चर असल्यामुळं इट इज व्हेरी मच कॉस्टलियर. वेअर you can compare, how we can compare between memory, how much your memory is there, that much speed, if it is slow, that much less costly it is. For example, तुमचा pen drive तुम्ही म्हटलं की we can get that hardly in what we can say 700 rupees, because the pen drive is less faster than your hard disk. For example, in 700 rupees I can get 16 GB. Okay, and if I go for hard disk drives, I can say that in 3000 rupees I will get near about 500 GB of storage. Okay, but whereas if I compare these two things with my, if you compare with your RAM, I get 4 GB of RAM, 4 GB of RAM in 4K, 4000 rupees. Okay, Stylus is not working at all. Yeah, 4 GB of RAM will get at 4,000 rupees to me. So as I'm going with the speed, as I'm increasing the memory access speed, the purchase cost is increasing because it is very complex to implement or produce those systems. जर तुम्ही cache memory provide करत असेल, then you will get only 4 MB of cache memory for 17,000 rupees processors. If you increase that cache memory to 6 MB, your processor cost will increase by 4K, means 21K la to bhetto, near about. So these are some of the prices we can compare with. So that is very difficult to implement. That is very costly technology. So that's why these memory units are having different pricing depending on the speed actually and the size also. We can also compare it with SSD, your solid state drives. Those are also costlier because those are very fast as compared to your normal regular hard disks. Okay, so that was about memory unit. Inside CPU, there is also control unit. Control unit is responsible for taking care of all the units, that all the units are connected well, all the units are working properly. Unit's responsibility is also executing the instructions. Whatever the instructions which are provided in the program, control unit makes sure that it executes correctly. Okay, so that was all about fundamental unit or functional unit that we have seen. Now let's move for today's session that is related to von Neumann architecture. All right. So there are two kind of architectures that came into existence in the time of generation of computers. The first lecture we have seen different generation of computers. So inside that, okay, I'm getting some kind of noise. Let me check. Okay. So there are two kind of architectures you can come across. First architecture which is familiar, that is called as von Neumann architecture. Second kind of architecture is called as Harvard architecture. So these are two different techniques of designing CPUs. All right. So in earlier lecture, I have mentioned you that first generation computer was designed based on ENIAC. Okay, ENIAC was the architecture for the first generation, and the variant of that is called as EDVAC, that is electronic discrete variable computers. Right. So we came with first numerical and integrated computer. In that we have seen that electronic discrete variable computer was the variant. So EDVAC was the project that was developed based on this von Neumann architecture. Okay, so von Neumann had made some improvements inside first generation computer, and which was publicly available. That architecture we are talking about. So basically, if you refer at the diagram, it is similar to whatever the fundamental units we have seen in previous diagram. Okay, much of them are having similarities. Same kind of modules are used over here, and much of the system working is same. Okay, so let's find out. As you can see, there is main memory. Main memory is nothing but a memory unit that we talked about in fundamental units. Okay, it is used for storing data. I can write data to it. I can write code to it, or I can store result to it. Okay, so I can store these three things. I can store the program which is needed to be executed. I can store data that I can provide as an input to the calculations, or I can store the result of the calculations also. So basically my memory unit has three types of content in it. Okay. Second thing is ALU. No need to tell again about it. It is used for arithmetic and logical calculations, right? So it is basically working on binary data. Whatever the binary data it receives from memory, it processes that, it performs any arithmetic and logical calculations which are provided inside program, and stores back the result. Okay, so that is ALU. Second thing is control unit, that is program control unit, that is responsible for controlling the entire execution of the program or entire communication between all these modules. Okay, so that is one of them. And another thing is IO device. IO devices are nothing but the devices from which I'm getting data, I'm getting input from, or I'm storing the output. Okay, if I want to send the data outside my system, whichever computer system I'm talking about, I am using these devices to send. All right, so this is the basic structure. Now what is about von Neumann architecture? Why is saying that why he has given his own name to it? So okay, am I audible? Am I audible to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I was at the basic structure of that. So fundamental units and von Neumann architecture is similar, but what von Neumann architecture came up with is he came up with the system where he is storing the program and the data in the same location, means in the same module. Means what? Von Neumann architecture says that whenever you write some program to be executed, whatever the instructions you need to execute, you need to inform to the computer, whatever the program you need to execute, those are stored in the main memory, and whatever the data is required for that execution, that is also stored in the main memory only. Means I am accessing both the contents from main memory itself. Okay, so that is what von Neumann architecture is defining. Means let me give you an example of that so that you can understand more clearly. For example, if I'm writing a program for what I can say is program for addition. Okay, so for program for addition, what I'm doing, I'm writing my C program where I'm performing some statements, and inside that there is one statement called as C is equal to A plus B, and after that print and end of the program. So this is the program or instructions, those are needed to be executed. Okay, I also need to provide the data for this execution. For example, in your C program of addition, what you do basically, you take inputs from user. For example, I'm taking value for A, I'm taking value for B, I'm making the addition, I'm storing back. Right? So that time, whatever the values you take for A and B, those values are also stored in main memory only. Means the program to be executed and the data required for that execution, both are stored in main memory. Both are not differently stored. That is what von Neumann architecture says about. Okay, whereas if you compare different, what I can say is, if you compare this von Neumann architecture with Harvard architecture, let me show you the diagram for that. This is the simple architectural diagram of Harvard architecture, whereas Harvard architecture tells me about that don't store the data and the program in the same memory. Okay, so that is the basic difference between two architectures. Von Neumann architecture म्हणतोय की आपण प्रोग्राम आणि डेटा एकाच मेमरी युनिट मध्ये स्टोर करायचा, तिथूनच सर्व ऍक्सेस करायचा. Whereas हार्वर्ड आर्किटेक्चर काय सांगतो, डेटा वेगळा स्टोर करायचा, मेमरी वेगळा, प्रोग्राम वेगळा स्टोर करायचा, आणि दोघांना सेपरेट ऍक्सेस मिळेल. Okay, so basically CPU is having different bus for this, what I can say is this axis of data, and there is different bus for this axis also. for accessing program also. So these two access methods are different. Whereas if you can see in hardware architecture, von Neumann architecture, both have the same way of accessing. मला मला प्रोग्राम पण ऍक्सेस करायचा असेल तर मी एकच बस रेफर करतोय. मला डेटा ऍक्सेस करायचा असेल तर पण मी एकच बस रेफर करतोय. Means there are some advantages and disadvantages of both the architectures. For example, if I want to read a program and data simultaneously, I cannot perform in von Neumann architecture. कारण का एकच बस आहे. एकच बस आहे in the sense there is only one communication line. Either I can ask for program, either I can ask for data for that program. Whereas in hardware architecture, I can access data simultaneously and program simultaneously because both communication lines are different. Okay, so both ways you can communicate and fetch the data at the same time. So that has advantages of it. We will cover that part after completion of the basic introduction of this. So that is the major difference between von Neumann architecture and Harvard architecture. It provides a common memory location for storing program and data. Okay, so let me put some few more details about von Neumann architecture.
Sir,
Basically, yes,
so there is one question.
yeah, put it out.
So what is C and CC, which is written in brackets?
Just a second. Okay, it is related to full form of it. Okay, let me give you the full form of it. Okay, I need to check over that because I don't able to find out the definition of it, but it has a full form of it. Uh, it is called as like control circuit for CC. Okay, or you can say control circuitry for that, and I need to go through CA also. Okay, I will let you know in upcoming lectures about those full forms, right? So basically instead of CA you can use ALU, right? Because this diagram is old diagram, that's why they have given some old name to it. Okay, instead of CA we are directly using now ALU, and instead of CC we are using as okay. So I will let you know about these two full forms by upcoming lecture, or we might find it over here. No, it is, yeah, you can see over here in this diagram, it is shown over here, control circuits. Okay, which means CC. And we need to see about CA, which is not mentioned over here. Okay, so I will let you know about CA, whereas CC is called as control circuits. Okay, so that is the basic difference about von Neumann architecture and what we can say is hardware architecture. Few more things I would like to add for you guys. Von Neumann architecture has introduced uh, what we say instruction format or data format to it. Okay, for example, in von Neumann architecture, we initially the storage capacity of the memory, whatever this main memory was provided, that main memory was having a size of what we can say 4096 kind of 4096 kind of memory locations. Means I can use 4096 or bit of data. Every bit is stored one memory location. So 4096 bits were there. So due to that, we were able to provide 40 bits of instruction set. Okay. Now, what do you mean by that? Means what? Whenever I am providing some data to the computer to process out, I am providing data in some format. So that format was defined based on the total size of it. Whenever you come across any computer, whatever the memory location is there, that is the maximum size at which the data can be given to the computer. And it is also based on what is the speed of the data bus is there. In upcoming concept, we will talk about bus system. That time you will be more clearer about it. Don't worry about that. And these 4096 bits are now equivalent to 2 raised to 12, I can say, right? So that 2 raised to 12 means I can use 12 bits to represent data. ओके. बेसिकली कसं असतं तुमचं मेमरी बिट्स मध्ये डिवाइड असतो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल my memory is this thing, and I'm dividing my memory into blocks. So whenever I'm storing something, I'm able to store in one block one data element. For example, इथं तुम्ही integer 4 store करू शकता. For example, मी alphabet number A store करू शकतो. Okay. Every memory block utilizes one unit of data. Okay. If I'm saying the computer has 4096 blocks of memory, means त्याच्या memory unit मध्ये तेवढे blocks आहेत. And in order to access each block, I can represent the address using binary addresses. For example, let me take you. If I'm talking about my memory block has 4 memory elements I can store. म्हणजे 4 bits data मी store करू शकतो एका माझ्या memory block मध्ये. So I'm taking the simplified example of that. So how I can represent the 4 bits? I'm representing that by 2 raised to 2 means I need 2 elements or 2 binary components to represent that memory. So how I can represent that? Using 00 as the first element address, using 01 as the second element memory element address, whereas 10 is the third element address and 11 is the last element address. असं जर आपण using binary memory allocations addresses resemble केला तर मला 4096 memory locations दाखवण्यासाठी मला 2 raised to 12, that is 12 bits of address लागतो. असं इथं 2 bits of address लागला. Okay. I hope you are understanding this. If you are having difficulty on that, we can take more examples as we go on to learn about memory accessing, how the memory is accessed. So everything is in binary in computers. मी address represent करताना पण बायनरी लँग्वेज वापरतो. जेव्हा मी कम्प्युटरला सांगतो 10 लोकेशनचं मेमरी ऍक्सेस कर, तो हे मेमरी ब्लॉक ऍक्सेस करतो. Okay. If I'm telling a computer to access 00, it will access this memory block, which is the first one. Okay. So in this way, the memory access is done. So in von Neumann architecture, there were 4096 kind of memory blocks. त्यासाठी आपल्याला 12 bits addressing लागत होता. Okay. So that for that purpose, von Neumann architecture came up with a data format of 40 bits, which is starting from 0 to 39. So how I can represent data inside the memory block of that particular system of von Neumann architecture? I am using 40 bits of data at a time. I can transfer 40 bits of data from memory, main memory, to my what we can say ALU for calculations. मग त्यातला 1 bit त्यांनी काय केलंय is used for sign bit. Okay. basically, you know, we represent signed numbers and unsigned numbers also. So जर मला positive 4 represent करायचं असेल तर plus 4 मला represent करावं लागेल. If the negative number is there, minus 4 is represented. So whatever the significant value I need to show using this sign, हे sign represent करण्यासाठी मी one bit means this location tells me whether the number is positive or not, if it is a number value. Okay, so if it is, for example, I can tell you an example of that. If it is 0 in sign bit, I can say the value is positive. If it is the value at the 0th bit is 1, if it means the number is negative. Okay, using such way I can represent a computer whether I am providing a positive number or a negative number as a information. Okay, so data format is in this manner. Remaining these bits are used for locations of data. Okay, डेटाचा ऍड्रेस रिप्रेझेंट करण्यासाठी आपण हे यूज करू शकतो. Okay, so that is one of the representation. And how the instructions are represented in von Neumann architecture. You can see if I have 40 bits of data, out of that first 8 bits are used for opcode. Okay, opcode is nothing but it is an operation code. It tells me what kind of execution or operation I need to execute. Okay, for example, you might have come across an instruction called as add a comma b. Means add tells me, or it tells a computer to do the addition operation on whom a and b. Okay, so a and b branch or the values which are provided for this operation. Okay, basically you see this as an instruction set in microprocessor that we will see further. So the 8 bits, first 8 bits are code. After that I can use 12 bits for what I can say as a address bits. Memory locations address आपण बघितलं 2 raised to 12 होता. मग ते फर्स्ट ऍड्रेस मी प्रोव्हाइड करण्यासाठी ते 8 to 19 bit structure यूज करू शकतो. After that I can provide another 8 bits of code and the remaining 12 bits of again addresses. So आपण according to von Neumann architecture मध्ये we are able to store 2 instructions in 140 bit of data. So whatever this complete 140 bit is there content, in that I can put 2 instructions, one instruction from 0 to 19, another instruction from what we can say 19 to further 39. Okay, so in this manner I can use, right? So it should be in such way I can provide 2 instructions at a time. मला von Neumann architecture मध्ये 2 instructions at a time show करता येतात. Whereas von Neumann architecture, what it does, it fetches first instruction, it executes that instruction, after that it fetches the second instruction and executes it. Okay, म्हणजे आपण एका कम्युनिकेशन युनिट मध्ये, एका कम्युनिकेशन चॅनल मध्ये 2 instruction at a time send करू शकतो. I can send 2 instructions at a time. Okay, so in this manner it works out. So these are the basic structures which are used. Nowadays our microprocessors are using more complex of data structures where I'm providing data format and instruction format. Both are having much more fields. काही instruction formats मध्ये तुम्हाला flags मिळतील. Okay, flags are used for providing boolean kind of data. Okay, मला साइन रिप्रेझेंट करायचं असेल नंबरचा, फ्लॅग यूज करू शकतो. ओके, सो इन दिस मॅनर आय हॅव डिफरंट फ्लॅग्स. मला अल्फाबेट आहे का नंबर आहे ते डेटा ते मी फ्लॅगने रिप्रेझेंट करू शकतो. ओके, सो इन दिस मॅनर आय कॅन से दॅट we can represent data or we can represent what we can say is instruction to it. Okay, so that is the basic change von Neumann has done inside the architecture of whatever he has provided, he was able to provide a transfer of 40 bits at a time between memory and ALU. Okay, so that was provided to that, right? So that is about what we can say von Neumann architecture. Have we do we have enough time on that? Okay, we still got 15 minutes, so we can cover the next concept also inside that. So we will see a detailed study of that, actually how these architectures work, or what I can say is how a basic what we can say a basic computer can work. Okay, so this is the detailed structure of what we can say is von Neumann architecture. Let me check whether I can zoom a little bit. Okay, yeah, okay, so it is related to von Neumann architecture. Now how basically your program works, everybody. कम्प्युटरला कसं कळतं की एखादा प्रोग्राम एक्झिक्यूट करायचा आहे. Okay, how it works actually. So basically take cares everything is done by this control unit, I can say. You can see this control unit over here. I can say that using that control unit I am executing the programs. So what happens whenever your computer starts up, the control unit takes the control, and whatever that control unit is there, it executes some signals which activates the program counter. Okay, so control unit executes some statements which are system oriented statements. Basically the operating system execute करतो ते, and the control is given to the program counter. What program counter does later on? Program counter starts to access the first element inside the given program counter details. Whenever I'm saying program counter, we know that counter is nothing but which increments the value. So basically the program counter stores the address of the program from where it is executed. For example, memory location 1000. जेव्हा तुमचा एखादा प्रोग्राम रन करतो, रन करताना त्याचा इनिशियल मेमरी लोकेशन प्रोग्राम काउंटर मध्ये स्टोर केला जातो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल यू आर एक्झिक्युटिंग युअर सी प्रोग्राम. ओके, सी प्रोग्राम मध्ये तुम्ही जर बघितलं, देन from where your execution starts inside your program, can anybody tell me? If you are executing a C program, कुठून start होतो तुमचा program? What is the first statement that is executed?
Main functions.
Main function. Very good. Somebody is alive. I thought everybody is gone. Okay. So main function is from where I'm executing or starting my program, right? So main functionचा address PC counter मध्ये store केला जातो. So that is the address of that function. Function is nothing but it is also a part of a code. It is also a statement. It is also written somewhere inside the memory. It's address PC counter वर store केला जातो. So whenever the PC counter is taking control, it start executing that main function, and from there it executes stepwise one statement after other. Okay. So from PC counter, the first address is fetched and that is given to MAR. Now what do you mean by MAR? MAR is nothing but it is memory address register. म्हणजे हे जे 1000 ऍड्रेस आहे, हे ऍड्रेस पीसी काउंटर मधून फेच करून तो त्या मेमरी ऍड्रेस रजिस्टर मध्ये स्टोअर केला जातो. Okay, the job of this memory address register is to fetch the instruction from the and store that to where it store that to memory buffer register. Okay, this MBR is nothing but memory buffer register. Means buffer means memory used for storing temporary purpose. So whatever memory address register is तिथला address fetch करून तो MAR तिथला memory मधला instruction fetch करतो आणि fetch करून MBR ला store करतो. Okay. After storing MBR, from there the data is forwarded to IBR. Okay. Now, how this thing is done? Using this content that which is stored at MBR, MBR's job is to identify. MBR's job काय आहे? तो identify करतो. काय identify करतो? तर just a second. The data which is inside MBR is the actual data or whether it is an instruction. Okay. Volume architecture मध्ये आपण मेन मेमरी मध्ये डेटा पण स्टोअर करतो आणि इन्स्ट्रक्शन पण स्टोअर करतो. ते आलेल्या ऍड्रेस मधून डेटा आहे का इन्स्ट्रक्शन आहे तो MBR आयडेंटिफाय करतो. सो इफ इट इज अ डेटा इट इज प्रोव्हाइडेड टू ALU फॉर प्रोसेसिंग. ओके. फॉर एक्झाम्पल माझ्याकडे त्या स्टेटमेंट वरती @A,B होता. तर आपण जेव्हा आधी MAR मधून फेच केला ऍड फेच झालाय. ऍड फेच झाल्यावर MBR चेक करतो वेदर ऍड इज अ डेटा और एन इन्स्ट्रक्शन. इथे इन्स्ट्रक्शन आहे. ऍड इज नथिंग बट instruction. It tells me what to do. So that if it is an instruction, it is sent to IR. If it is a data, for example, next instruction, next address काय represent करतोय? Data represent करतोय. जर ते डेटा असेल तर तो arithmetic logic unit पास करतो. So MBR job is to either provide it to arithmetic logic unit or it can provide it to IBR. Now see how the steps are executed. This is step number 1. This is step number 2. That is fetched, and here the step number 3 is. And from there, it is either step number 4 over here or either here. Any of one it can be done. Okay. When IBR receives the instructions, we know that in one new architecture, send the data, the transfer of that content is of 40 bits. Okay, means it is carrying two instructions, that is instruction number 1 and instruction number 2. जर instruction असेल तर first instruction IR कडे पाठवलेला जातो. First will be forwarded to IR. IR is nothing but instruction register. Okay, it is nothing but instruction register. So when I'm executing that instruction, the first instruction should be inside IR, instruction register. And second thing, while executing this first instruction, we need to store this second instruction somewhere. Temporary purpose the store करावं लागेल. That is done at IB instruction buffer register मध्ये काय केलं जातं? Remaining 20 bits are stored there for temporary purpose. म्हणजे तो execute झाला first instruction तर तो next instruction IR ला forward करू शकतो. Okay. So in this way the execution is done. For example, when I'm saying as add A comma B, whenever the add is been taken and given to IR, and A and B are given to arithmetic logic circuit. Okay, so it takes 3 cycles. This is the first cycle where instruction 1 is read. This is the second cycle where A is read. This is the third cycle where B is read. म्हणजे PC counter तुमचा 3 वेळा increment होतो. First time, second time and third time. And after that, using this IR instruction register, the control circuit will execute addition control. तो adder ला activate करतो, adder execute होतो आणि हे A आणि B इथं registers मध्ये store केला जातो arithmetic logic circuitच्या, and those calculations are made, and whatever the result is stored, that is stored inside accumulator. Okay, so in this way execution works. After completion of next instruction, the information is provided over here. Again, the PC counter will increment for next instruction execution. Okay, so this cycle goes on continuously. Step number 1, step number 2, then step number 3, then step number 4, and after execution is step number 5, and again step number 1 is been executed. Okay, so in this manner it circles out continuously. Kadiparan, unless and until you will reach the end of the PC counter. म्हणजे तुमचा program जेव्हा तुमचा complete होत नाही, whenever you reach at the end of the program, till then this circuit goes on continuously. Fetching one instruction, fetching data related to that instruction, and then executing that. ओके, तुमच्या इन्स्ट्रक्शन्स मध्ये असं दिलं जातं की टेक इनपुट फ्रॉम IO डिव्हाइसेस. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, you have a printf and below that there is a scanf statement. जेव्हा scanf statement instruction execute होतो, we know that sometimes we take data from user. So whenever that scanf instruction related instruction is in MBR tells to fetch the data from IO. So that's why some arrows are also given to IO devices, you can see. म्हणजे MBR डिसाइड करतो की डेटा IO कडून घ्यायचा आहे का मेमरी युनिट कडून घ्यायचा आहे का डेटा आपल्याला अरिथमेटिक लॉजिकला प्रोव्हाइड करायचा आहे का इन्स्ट्रक्शन आहे. सो MBR is a deciding factor which decides where to forward the data. Okay, it contains a data. Basically आपण डेटाला वर्ड हा नाव देतो. Word is nothing but a minimum size of data. Here the word size of von Neumann architecture is 40 bits. काही नवीन processors मध्ये other than this they might have 64 bits. Okay, that is the basic word size. Alright, nowadays latest processors मध्ये MBs मध्ये आहे word size. You can have 128 MB of what I can say. My word size is of 128 MBs. Means that much bigger the instruction sets are. Okay, initially फक्त 16, 32, 64 instructions at a time processor provide करत होता. Nowadays we are able to provide lakhs of instructions, thousands of instructions. Okay, based on what kind of processor you are using, that many instructions I can provide. All right, so that is related to the word size, minimum transfer rate, whatever the data which is transferred between these all registers, that is nothing but the word size. So MBR takes that word and decrypts or what we can say decodes whether it is an instruction to be forwarded, whether it is an data to be given, or whether I need to read the data from memory unit or IO unit. Okay, so in this way the program or the computer works insidely. These all factors are there. These are all the basic elements which are needed. तुमच्या आत्ताच्या PC मध्ये पण PC काउंटर आहे, मेमरी बफर रजिस्टर आहेत, इन्स्ट्रक्शन बफर रजिस्टर्स आहेत, instruction registers आहेत, memory address registers आहेत. Okay, so there are different elements. This is called as multiplier quotient, MQ. It is used for multiplication. Okay, and AC is nothing but accumulator. Okay, so whatever the results are there, those are stored temporarily in accumulators always. So arithmetic logic circuit might have adder also. इथं adder असू शकतो connected, multiplier असू शकतो. Okay, different logic units असतील तर ते devices attached असतील त्याला. So in this way the program executes inside your basic structure of von Neumann architecture. Why we are studying von Neumann architecture? Because many of the computers are based on this architecture. आता पण तुमचे जे current processors आहेत, if I'm talking about i5, if I'm talking about i7, today also these processors are using same technique वरती काम करतात. म्हणून आपण शिकत आहे. So it is implemented at those days and still the same technique is used because this is much of the advancement done in the computers. आणि याच्यामध्ये फक्त काय इम्प्रुव्हमेंट्स काय झालेले आहेत, दिस MBR साइज इज बीन इन्क्रीज्ड, इन्स्ट्रक्शन रजिस्टरचे साइजेस इन्क्रीज झालेत. ओके, हे कम्युनिकेशन फास्ट झालंय. I am able to read these instructions more faster. PC counters are also increased. Some computers might have 2 to 3 counters instead of 1. Right? So those things are increased, but basic working is always the same. Okay, so that is about basic working of what we can say von Neumann architecture. All right, so we will see about hardware architecture in upcoming lecture. Okay, so already I have given you 2 questions where I can say that I have given question for tutorials. First question was related to what are the applications, what are the different processors based on applications. Second question was listing out IO devices and different input devices and output devices. And today also I'm providing you another question for that. The question is related to putting down the differences between von Neumann architecture and hardware architecture. Okay, one of the basic difference I have already told you, that data and instructions are stored in the same location in von Neumann architecture, whereas data and instructions are differently stored in Harvard architecture. Okay, other than that, you can put out some advantages and disadvantages of those. So kindly go for that question. Differentiate between von Neumann architecture and what we can say hardware architecture, or you can say comparison between them. Okay, try to find out the content on that. In next lecture, what we will do, we will dedicate some part of the lecture for solving those 3 questions. I want to see what kind of answers I might get from different students. We might come across some very good interesting answers for these 3 questions. So these 3 questions will be the part of the tutorial number 1. Okay, so let me just put down those questions so that you can what we can say, take a note of that. Just a second. If anybody has a question or a doubt to ask with, they can ask till I share the screen.
So, do we have to make separate book for tutorial or in the classwork only?
You can make inside the classwork itself, and that now we are not coming through any lectures which are taking we can say in a classroom sessions are not there, right? So either you can go for making notes in a digital format, you can type it on your system and store it with you, or if you are able to make a book, it is good for your practice, for preparation purpose. So make a common book for assignments and tutorials. There is no need of anything else. You can also use the same book for taking notes of your lectures. Okay, so I don't want you guys to waste much of the notebooks, but if you are not understanding the lectures by just listening, it is better you always write it down, because that is what I do. Whenever I learn something, I take notes of it because I cannot remember everything. So it is a good habit to take notes and write it down. If you are making that, you can. Okay. So first is related to what we can say is processors based on applications. Okay, for what application is there some kind of processor design for it? You have to list out. Second question is types of input and output devices. Category of at least 7 or 10 we have come across. Third question is related to differentiate or compare between one human and third architecture. These are the 3 questions for our tutorial number 1. So CR can take a screenshot of it and keep with her. More couple of questions will be added later on also. Okay, so that is tutorial number 1 where 3 questions are added. We will have a proper discussion. Remember that tutorial is always about learning something is beyond your syllabus. Okay, these kind of questions will be useful for your interview purpose, or Batu sometimes also asks application based questions. म्हणजे तुम्हाला हे क्वेश्चन येतं याच्यावरती हे याचं ऍप्लिकेशन काय आहे, एक कन्सेप्ट येत असेल तर याचं ऍप्लिकेशन काय त्याच्यावरती क्वेश्चन करतात. त्या क्वेश्चन्सला फेस करण्यासाठी तुम्हाला ट्युटोरियल्स युजफुल होतात. These questions will be very much useful for you if you use that. So that's why I'm giving a little bit out of conceptual questions. म्हणजे आपल्याला प्रोसेसर्स माहित आहेत, म्हणजे त्याचे ऍप्लिकेशन बेस्ड कॅटेगरीज आहेत का ते माहित असायला पाहिजे. आपल्याला इनपुट आउटपुट डिव्हाइसेस माहित आहेत काय असतात, मग त्यांना लिस्ट करता येतात का ते, राईट. Here we know what is von Neumann and hardware architecture, then we should be able to compare it. Okay, so come up with the answers. I accept. I expect that there will be much of interaction between you guys in next lecture, where many of the students might come up with lot of answers. Okay, try to make a more interactive session. So that is all about for today's lecture. Diploma students can go with the syllabus. I will share the syllabus by today on the group of yours, and already some of the chapters have started of each and every subject, because we have started lectures from 6th of July. So 1 week has already passed and some part of the concepts have already passed. Try to cover the content whichever is completed before, and definitely after the admission process we might come up with retaking some of the or repeating some of the concepts. Okay, so try to pace up with us, and if there is any issue with that, let me know. So are there any questions related to the sessions we have covered till now or till today? Okay, it seems there are no issues with the concepts we have covered till today. Still, I will be coming more examples as we move beyond. आता काही गोष्टी तुम्हाला represent करू शकत नाही तर without board. That's why you might be facing a little bit trouble understanding it. But don't worry, as we proceed further, we will come up with more examples of that. Okay. I will try to involve more diagrams of it. I will try to involve more examples of it so that you can clear with the concepts that I'm trying to explain you guys. Okay. So with this note, I will end the session over here. Thank you so much. Just one more thing. Many of the students are not attending practicals. So please make sure you attend practicals also seriously. So thank you so much. Take care. Good day.